Hello and welcome to this special Recruiting Services DVD for parents from Athletic Scholarship Central. Hi, I'm Ken Taylor, head coach at ASC. We produced this free DVD as a great starting point for parents to fully understand how the athletic scholarship process works and what their options are. Again, we're very proud of what we've accomplished, and we think truly that we're the only choice in the marketplace. And we believe that through the integrity and the honesty that we put into our systems. So let's get started with this particular DVD. I want to talk today about the types of services first. Then we'll get into the actual things you should be looking for. So there are two types of services in the marketplace. One is what we call fan information sites, and that's Recruiting News would be a prime example of that. Very similar to that, under the Recruiting News type of fan information site is what we call Rivals.com and Scout.com. Typically, they only cover football and basketball because those are considered the money sports. And in Division I, football and basketball are the two sports where they do give full scholarships. At Division II, football, basketball, NAIA, that's not the case. They're partials, and there are very rare exceptions where full scholarships are given. So again, these are fan information services. They're to hype the whole process. Interesting thing is we find young athletes and their parents joining Rivals and joining Scout so they can be in the news and they can try to get their rating and try to get coverage. And that's all well and good, but it's not going to get you recruited. So just be aware of that. You can post on the college sites. You can do a lot of things. You can have a lot of fun doing it, but that's not where the money is. So be aware of that. These are concentrated on keeping fans up to date in what's happening. They'll talk about the big recruits. You're never going to hear anything about an average recruit on Rivals or Scout. You're going to hear about what they term the 5-star recruits and what they're thinking and where they're going and what their stats are. Our service is not aimed for those type of athletes. We're after the good, solid academic athletes who do have talent but might get unrecognized or unnoticed. We have what we call the coaching connection sites, and that's the other type of service that's available for the student athlete and the parents. NCSAsports.org is an example. BeRecruited.com is a prime example. And these organizations basically charge a set amount. Usually it's going to be a minimum of $1,500. It can go all the way up to $3,000 and $6,000. If you don't buy into that, then they're going to offer at least to put your profile up for $99 to $100 a month. So it's still going to be fairly expensive if you're going to take advantage of these sites. The interesting thing is they claim to have a large amount of connections. What they really have is a database, and that database is with a lot of colleges, all the colleges. Guess what? Same database we have. Any service can get access to that database. We've got it. Ours is probably more up to date. It's interesting. Some of these services, I'm a Division I coach, have been for 5 years, and on some of these services, I'm still not listed in their database. It's amazing. So it's obvious that they don't update it very often. We update ours continually. We want it to be accurate. So they'll claim to have all these connections. I went to one of these sites, and it's kind of interesting. Two different places, they claim to have a different number of connections. One connection says over 40,000. The other one says 32,000 on the same service, just on a different one of their different web pages. So I don't even know if they're sure how many they've actually got. So be aware of that. Very, very important. They're somewhat similar to us, but not really. And there are a lot of reasons why we are different and why we built our program to be different. A lot of them will claim to connect you to X amount of coaches. And what they actually do is they'll just send emails out with a profile on it and information. A prime example of how that can be good or bad is I'm a Division I coach. In addition to being the head coach at Athletic Scholarship Central, I get information from these recruiting services on a regular basis, usually weekly and sometimes twice a week. Most of them I don't look at. And the reason, I did look at them in the beginning, but they sent me athletes that didn't fit my recruiting profile, even though I had listed a recruiting profile of what I wanted. And the reason I got sent those is because they didn't have the athletes that fit my recruiting profile. They weren't listed on there. And out of all the emails I've gotten, and trust me, it numbers in the hundreds, I have yet to get one of an athlete that I would recruit. I coach the pole vault, and the athletes I'm looking for on the men's side need to vault at least 15.6. The best I've gotten so far is 14. On the women's side, I need 12 foot plus. The best I've gotten is 10.6. So I can't justify that to my head coach or to our athletic director of why I would be recruiting and potentially maybe offering money to an athlete that didn't meet those standards that we've arrived at as a coaching staff. So very important. They'll give you a profile, usually for free, and then they'll send out the emails. Okay, very similar to what they all do. There's really no difference, and that's kind of indiscriminate. It's not really necessarily a target or a fit, which is what we want. They'll charge you for everything that you can do yourself, and that's the whole point of this. It's interesting because the average scholarship you might get is $2,000 a year. You might have paid $6,000 for a service or $3,000 for a service, spent a ton of money on travel and travel teams, and yet never recoup your investment. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen with us. That's why we've got a minimal monthly fee that's very, very affordable to families. A lot of these organizations are extremely expensive for minimal help. Why are they so expensive? They've got full staffs. We're totally automated. We don't need that full staff, and we've got training modules that have taken us years to design, but they're done. We don't have to have a one-person counseling constantly. Our webinars take care of that. We do answer the phone. We will work with you and talk to you. You have an option of using us in a more one-on-one way. You can do that, but you don't have to. If you choose to, that's fine, but we'll still be a less expensive option than these recruiting services who might have 20, 25, 30 people on their staff, and they have to pay those salaries and benefits. And we're not, we're very small in numbers. We do have field reps, but our field reps are all commission-based. I mean, they know that we're keeping our price down because we want the athletes and their families to get a value. The numbers, as I mentioned earlier, are very inconsistent. I mentioned the one site where they had over 50,000 connections on one of their web pages. On a different web page, they said 32,000. So which is it? It's 32,000 coaches or 42,000? Or over 50,000 coaches. Now, remember this, and think about this just for a second. If they have 50,000 coaches on their website, or they have access to getting to 50,000 coaches, do you honestly believe that they know all those coaches? That's not possible. They might know a small handful. Most of the coaches they do know are smaller schools that don't have the budgets to recruit and have lower standards, and they might more be dependent on that site. But guess what? They have access to our site also. So that doesn't hold any water to say that we have 50,000 or 32,000 coaches in our database. It's really more what do those coaches react to? Why do they contact your athlete? That's really what we're after. And that's where we come in. The educational aspect of these sites is typically very minimal. It's one or two videos. It's a newsletter that comes out that tells you what to do on your unofficial visit, what to do on your official visit, but it's not organized, and it's not something you can go into and find that module when you're getting ready to go on your official or unofficial visit and know exactly what to do. They don't have handouts that you can print out and run off like we do, where you will always have access to the information and you'll always have a great guidepost to having the best opportunity possible to be recruited. You're only going to learn basic requirements to compete. Imagine this, you're in a sport and the only thing the coach teaches you is just the very basics. That's it. And then you're asked to go out and compete. You probably would struggle. You probably wouldn't do very well. What we're saying is, let's fully equip you. If it was college, these sites are equipping you to be a high school graduate. We're equipping you to be to get a master's degree or a PhD with the information that we're going to give to you. So you're going to be far better equipped for the process. And again, remember, no one handles the recruiting process better than the athlete themselves and their parents. And that includes high school coaches who don't have time. They'll tell you what the eligibility standards are. In some cases, they'll tell you how to stay eligible once you get in college. But it doesn't go a whole lot beyond that. So just keep that in mind, that these recruiting services are trying to show you value through numbers, not through true substance. We're trying to show you value through the substance that we bring to this whole process. So why us? Education is the cornerstone of our program. We will tell you up front, we are not a recruiting service. Will we get recognition for your athlete? Yes, but we want to put that in your hands. We want to empower you to do the best job possible. I look back over the information I've gotten from the services. As I mentioned earlier, I generally delete them because after a while I figured it out. They're not going to send me athletes that I'm really looking for. You know how I find my athletes? They find me. And they find me because they're educated. They looked at what was going on in the NCAA. They looked at programs that had great vault programs and had true pole vault coaches. And then they contact me by email or phone, and I'm very impressed with that I heard from them. I get calls from parents. That's not as impressive to me. But the call from that athlete or the email from that athlete, well written with the things I want on it, which we'll teach you how to do, that's what interests me. Other than that, I know the athletes that are available in the marketplace that I'm looking for. So again, it's not the recruiting service. It's my homework that I do and the athletes that contact me. That's where most of my athletes come from. We cover every single step of the process from your freshman year and beyond. We don't stop at high school. We go beyond high school. What happens once you get to college? What can you expect? What if things go wrong? What if you have to transfer? You've got it all from us, from freshman in high school to a college graduate. You've got us, because we're going to do special things. And by the way, and this is one of our offers, if you are a member of our service, you get to college and then you want to transfer, guess what? We'll help you for free. And no one can make that offer. You're going to receive the tools to prepare accordingly to what your goals and aspirations are. If you're focused on Division II schools, we'll show you what to do. We'll even tell you how to negotiate properly. Most parents try to negotiate for athletes, and they do it the wrong way. They try to leverage coaches and strong-arm coaches. I'll tell you right now, those are the athletes, not because of the athlete, but because of the parent, that we end up not recruiting. So again, be aware. We want your young student athlete to develop the needed confidence and the knowledge to be able to have a successful opportunity that starts and ends with them, not you, not a recruiting service, but with them. We want them to be young men and women who are capable of controlling their own destiny. And if we've done that, we've done more than just create a scholarship opportunity. We've created an outstanding young person. And part of what we do is they can go through our leadership program also, and we highly advise you doing that. Preparation is the key to this entire process. Preparation wins. As a coach, I've got to be prepared for every meet. I've got to be prepared in the recruiting process. You have to be prepared in the recruiting process on your end to get the best results possible. Part of that's learning to do the right things, just like the right questions are very critical. If an athlete calls me, there are certain things that athlete can say that are going to turn me off right away, and I won't want to talk to them. Same goes for parents. There are certain questions they can ask where I will actually say, wow, this person knows exactly what they're doing, and I'm impressed. And now they're in the game, and very often I put them on my list unless they just don't meet those standards of 12 feet for women and 15.6. And if they're close to it, though, and they do the right things, I still might consider them. So always be aware of that. What's the ultimate goal? We want to help student athletes by finding the right fit for college. Some colleges are not right for you. Wrong major, wrong coach. You got to evaluate the coach as much as the coach evaluates you. We've got to find the right fit, and we help you do that. We've got to set them up for opportunity from the very first email, the very first visit, the very first meeting with a guidance counselor to make sure that we've got our core classes lined up correctly. We're developing plans for handling adversity. What if? What if the coach does this? What if a coach says something that seems negative for your chances? How do you handle it? What do we have to do? We're going to be with you every step of the way. We want to prepare your student athlete to be an independent individual who can control their destiny, as I said earlier, doing it the right way, getting the right results. We want to train them from the athletic transition from high school to college. College is very different. They might have been the big person, man or woman on campus in their particular sport. They get to college and they're one of 105 on a football team, or they're one of 60 on a track team with 4 other sprinters who are better than them, or 3 other pole vaulters that are better than them. How do we prepare for that? How do we handle it? How do we evaluate that before we even get there? That's where we come in. You want to find success and opportunity in the right place. And that's what we are about at Athletic Scholarship Central. And the bottom line, save money. You don't want to spend every bit of your scholarship money on a recruiting service when you don't have to. That's where we fill the gap. For a very small amount, you're able to get incredible information that puts you in total control, controlling your total destiny in the whole process. Remember this, no one can be a more powerful engine for creating opportunity in the recruiting process than the student athlete themselves. We'll prepare them for that success through teaching every angle of the experience. And I'm going to repeat that, it's that important. No one can be more powerful and have a more powerful engine for creating opportunity in the recruiting process than the student athlete themselves. We'll prepare them for that success through teaching every angle of the experience, front to back, right to college graduation from that freshman year. Thank you so much for being with us, and remember our purpose, providing the education and tools for successful recruiting. This is Ken Taylor, Head Coach, Athletic Scholarship Central. Thank you so much for being with us.